Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. If you're East, I am in the midst of class. And so this was the break between class and orientation. And so I wanted to come on now so that it would not be later. Why don't you speak to me when you get here so that I can go on and get started so that we can just share together. All right. For just a few moments. There's someone. Yay. I know it's a little behind when it shows up. So just want you to say hello. And I'm grateful for your being here. And thank you for adjusting to the time. And because time is good morning, cousin. You know the struggle I'm in. So I thank you for understanding that. And as we continue to try to get this this doctorate going and the struggles that come along with that, and trying to be on point for everything. And anyway, I thank you for being here. Good morning, Trevor. Yay. Good to see you. I know it, Tanya, but the encouragement helps. I appreciate it. Good morning, Linda. Good morning. We're going to wait about one more minute because I have to do orientation at 11:30. So, I'll be short today. But we are on this road to 522. And next week, I'll reveal everything about 522 and share with you my thoughts about that transition because it will happen before I would see you again. And so I am excited and a little apprehensive, but it comes with the territory, and I'm not afraid to share that. But I know whom I serve, and so I know that as long as I'm inhaling and exhaling, it'll all be all right at some point, no matter what goes on. So today we are going to talk about doing some work as it relates to moving our lives ahead, and to not get stuck in a particular place. And I've said that before, but I as I'm reflecting on the road to 522, I just want to share it again. So good morning and welcome to another broadcast of Thriving Tuesday, Moments of Encouragement, hashtag veeencouraged. Good to see you, Jamie. And I hope you had a great Mother's Day, all of you that are here. So today, we're going to talk about what it means to assess, to align, after you've assessed and aligned, to adapt, and then to advance. Four very simple things, but yet when they're connected to one another, they represent a process. They represent a movement in life. As one is changing ages, and sometimes as one is changing ages that are kind of milestones, that assessment changes. So as I am looking back on this road to 522, I'm looking back and I'm making some assessments. I'm taking some inventory. And I think that it's important that we take inventory, but that we not only look at what was, but we assess the why. We assess what's underneath. A lot of times we look at what happens and we say that happened and that happened and that happened, but we don't take the time to assess all the whys. So I'm encouraging us to assess your whys, not why you do, but why you did, why that happened, what was your work, what did you do in that process? What was your culpability if it was something negative, or what was your doing well if it was something that was a positive? What about that was important? So you do some assessment, and then we got to do some aligning. We got to line some stuff up. Sometimes we are in some predicaments that we are in because as we assess, we realize that we're really far from God during that moment, or we had isolated ourselves, or we had decided that nobody really cared enough, so it didn't matter. That was my issue. A lot of times is that I felt like it didn't matter to anybody else, so why should I care that they care? And therefore, I isolated myself in a lot of ways, mostly emotionally, but also sometimes physically. And so in doing that, I'm assessing, and then I'm recognizing that there's some alignment that I have to do. And after when you do the assessment, it's not enough to know it. You have to want to move on it. And that's part of that alignment process. And so once we align, then we can adapt. And adapting is something that we've all gotten really accustomed to in this pandemic season of over a year. We've had to learn to adapt to a lot of different things. Sometimes we adapt it without assessing and aligning. And I'm encouraging us to go back and do that. That work can still be done, to do that work of assessing it and then aligning our lives and then adapting and knowing why we're adapting. Because some of us have adapted, and we've adapted with some negative vibes. We've adapted with feeling some sense of remorse, some sense of not wanting to do it, and so therefore we have chosen to look at it through a lens that's kind of negative. So the adaptation is not necessarily a bad thing. We've had to adapt because that's what life required. We got some folks who refuse to adapt, and that's a whole nother workshop, but they refuse to adapt because they've decided that they can do it the way they want to and put everybody else in danger while they choose not to adapt to the circumstances. That takes some assessing on their part and some aligning with what's going to be best for everyone around you. And sometimes there are those of us who adapt to life, and we deal with what everybody else needs, but we fail to deal with what we may need in that moment. And we got to be careful. I know why God just told me to say that. We got to be careful that in our adapting, we don't adapt ourselves out. That we're doing everything for the family, doing everything for the children, doing everything for everyone else, and our adaptation did not include us. Please make sure that you take care of you as you adapt, because there's really no way to get to the last thing, which is to advance, if we have not adapted in a way where we're part of the adaptation process. Not adapting to the point where we edge ourselves out, but adapting to the point where after we've assessed and we've found out how we can get some alignment. And that's a reciprocal process that goes on and on. And if we're not continually assessing, aligning, and adapting, assessing, aligning, and adapting, then we're really stuck and we're being still. The assessment, the alignment, and the adapting are ongoing processes, because with them, we get to advance. If without them, we're stuck. Okay, so assess that life, assess the choices, assess all of that, and figure out why we do what we do. Then align. Then say, how can I get this thing in better alignment with God, with myself, with my family, with my loved ones, with my significant other? Because some of the struggles that couples have are because we don't assess and align. We just keep adapting, and the adapting comes with resentment. And when the adaptation comes with resentment, then you never really assess. You just keep moving, and you're really not moving forward. You're just kind of doing a pivot. You're just turning around in a maze, and you're never really going anywhere, because assessment and alignment did not happen before you adapted. So let's go back and do that work. Adapt, and then advance. Then repeat the process and advance some more. Repeat the process and advance some more. Because as long as we're living, assessment, alignment, adaptation, and advancement are a part of our lives. It may not necessarily mean we're moving faster. It may not mean we're doing more, but it means that we've got to keep assessing and aligning so that we don't get caught up in the remorse and the feeling as if our lives don't matter. Every life matters. Every life matters. And if you know that your life matters, then you're able to do what Paul does in this verse. And that's going to be how I leave you today. Paul says in Philippians 3, and I've used this verse before, but every time I look at it, it comes a little differently. And as I think about the road to 522, Philippians 3 takes on a little different light, especially when we look at starting at verse 12, because before it, Paul talks about all the things that ought to be, and where we ought to be, and what we ought to be doing. And then he says, not that I've already obtained. That's an assessment. That's looking back. That's saying, I haven't gotten here. I know what it is, and I want it, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm continually assessing. Not that I've already attained, but this I do. He's aligning. He's aligning. This one thing I do, just getting that in some order, forgetting those things behind me. I've done the assessment. Now I leave it there. I keep my eyes not on the rearview mirror, but on the windshield. Forgetting those things which are behind. And looking to those things which are before, looking for advancement, looking for it. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. And then that 15th verse is real important. And a lot of times we leave it out. And I really want us to hear what that verse says. And I knew it was going to leave me while I was trying to get it here, because I don't want to kill our momentum. Let me say this. He says, I'm straining toward what's ahead. I press toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. And then the next verse says, all of us then who are mature should take such view of things. And if on some point you think differently, that too, God will make clear to you. We're not all there, but that continual cycle of assess, align, adapt is part of our maturity process. And what we don't yet get, God is going to give it to us if we stay in that place, if we stay aligned. So my prayer for you, my hope for you, my encouragement for you on my road to 522 is this. Assess it. Don't be afraid of the assessment. Align it. Keep it lined, get it lined up with whatever that order is for your life. You can't listen to everybody else. You got to line it up for your life. When you've lined it up for your life, adapt to where it is for now, for what this season is for your life, and then advance, move forward, press forward. Don't spend so much time looking back and assessing that you have an accident because you're trying to move, but you're looking through the rearview mirror. Push forward. Press your way, because there's a prize. The prize may not be anything tangible, but the mere fact that you're understanding your maturity it's responsible for your advancement, then that means you keep pressing and you remember that the mature person keeps assessing and aligning and adapting and advancing. Assess, align, adapt, and advance. And look where God will take you. And if you don't see it yet, hold on. God's going to show you. God bless you. Heaven smile on you, Tamika. Wonderful to have you here. Good to have you here, Mr. Evich. And listen, be encouraged. Press, assess, align, adapt, and advance. And be encouraged. God bless you. I'll see you next week.